Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're so excited to have you all here for today's session called CK-12 Simulations and PLIX Interactives. I'm Lindsay, a member of the CK-12 team, and I'll be moderating today's webinar run by KDS and Sonia. Many of you joining us today are also participating in the CK-12 Certified Educator Program. We ran a full program this past July, so if you are returning to us today, welcome. The Certified Educator Program is completely free, and participants become certified when they attend 5 live webinar sessions, like this one, watch 2 on-demand sessions, and complete the 7 matching assignments. So for those of you who joined us for sessions this summer and are attending today to fulfill your requirements, we're happy that you're doing that and continuing the program. And please continue working in the CEP July 2019 class that you're already working in. Now, for all of you who are brand new and you're like, what's the Certified Educator Program? That sounds exciting. If you want to learn more about our completely free Certified Educator Program, you can go to that link on your screen that says ck12.org/certified. And you could read up on our program page to learn more about the program. And then we do have a button there that says request info, and you can fill out the information form and we will send you all the details that you need by the end of this week to start getting involved in the program. And this webinar can count as one of the 5 required live webinars. So we're not going to talk too much about that right now because I know you guys want to learn about CK-12 Simulations and PLIX Interactives, but if you do have questions about the Certified Educator Program, you can certainly ask at the end of today's webinar, or we have Katie and Star with us today who are typing answers to questions in the Q&A window. So feel free to also post your question there if you'd like, and they can answer it privately. It looks like you guys are off and running with the Zoom application. In Zoom, the only tricky thing is that you see 2 separate windows, one that says Q&A and one that says chat. And during today's presentation, whenever you have a question that you want our presenters to answer, please post it in the Q&A window. That's the window that we're monitoring. And like I said, we're answering questions live, and then we're also typing answers to questions. The chat window is a place for a community conversation. We'd love for you all to introduce yourselves. If you're an educator, feel free to share where you live and the subject that you teach. Like I said, we've already got some great responses in there. Just make sure in the chat window that you're sending any general posts to all panelists and attendees. You have to actually make that change. Otherwise, you're just sending your messages to CK-12, and we want everybody to be able to see what you guys are talking about in the chat window, because that's a place for you. We do make resource pages for all of our webinars. And so this is the link that you might want to go to at some point. You don't have to do it right now. It'll be there for you. It's a tinyurl.com, CK-12 PLIX Sims 2019. So you can find it at that URL listed. We're also going to put it in the chat window right now. And it's a reference page that you can use to follow along during this presentation, or it can be printed if you like at a later date for use then. So I think that's all the introductory information I have for you. So now I'd like to introduce my colleague, Katie S., who will tell you all about PLIX Interactives.
Thanks, Lindsay, and thank you to everyone who joined us today for today's session on CK-12 Simulations and PLIX Interactives. Today, we're going to highlight 3 different types of interactives. We'll scale up from the manipulatives found throughout our latest FLEXBOOKS, FLEXBOOKS 2.0, to the diverse PLIX, to the full portal simulations. The interactives in FLEXBOOKS 2.0 allow students to actively experiment with concepts within the course itself. We will highlight Science and Math PLIX, which stands for Play, Learn, Interact, Explore. This tool allows users to animate ideas through simple interactions. Also, we'll be discussing our science simulations, which enable learners to discover the scientific principles that govern a real-world setting in a fun and interactive way. Before we get into the core content of the webinar, we would like to find out a little bit more about your familiarity with these interactives. You'll see a poll here in a few seconds that'll prompt you to respond to a question. So here's the question. How familiar are you with CK-12 simulations and PLIX interactives? You could select all answer choices that apply. I am new to them. I use PLIX occasionally. I use simulations occasionally. I use PLIX frequently. I use simulations frequently. I'll pause for a few seconds to let you finish answering this poll. Remember, please select all that apply to you.
Okay, so we're watching the answers coming in. Again, just select any of those that apply to you, and we'll give you another 10 seconds or so to lock in your answers, and then we'll share the screen and see who we have with us today.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so it looks like a lot of you are new to interactives. Great, so this is a great time for us to tell you all about them. Okay, so let's move on and discuss interactives. In this first section of the webinar, I'll discuss new features in CK-12's Interactive FLEXBOOKS 2.0. Next, we'll talk about PLIX interactives and PLIX Corner. Our goal is to get you ready to try interactives in your class. CK-12 recently released Interactive FLEXBOOKS 2.0, which are filled with interactives. This is a section from the newly released 8th grade math course. Students can read through the text, look at pictures, and manipulate graphs, figures, tables, and equations. The interactives are often paired with sets of inline questions the students can answer to guide their learning and get immediate feedback. The courses even have full screen interactives like PLIX and simulations. In this course, the interactives are designed to be an integral part of the lesson, not just supplementary. This is cutting-edge online educational technology. Interactive FLEXBOOKS are online courses that are populated with digital manipulatives and PLIX interactives, which we'll go into in depth later in this webinar. We currently have 7th grade, 8th grade, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and Physics interactive courses up on the site. Each curriculum is rigorous, and the math courses are fully aligned with Common Core state standards. Like everything at CK-12, the courses are free. To find the courses, just click Explore at the top of the CK-12 homepage. When the drop-down menu appears, find the FLEXBOOKS 2.0 option. Further down the menu, you'll also see a link to the PLIX browse page. And Sonia will show you more about this later. An information page about FLEXBOOKS 2.0 appears. From here, you can scroll down or click the Get Started button when the page loads. The link will take you to a web page with the URL flexbooks.ck12.org. The functionality of the interactives are tightly integrated with each course. For example, this interactive is designed for a lesson on comparing function types: linear, exponential, quadratic, and rational. The lessons in the interactive FLEXBOOKS are also full of real-world applications in PLIX. PLIX are similar to the embedded interactives that we looked at, except PLIX can be accessed outside of the course. PLIX have more features, and they cover a wide breadth of math and science concepts. You could learn more about the interactive FLEXBOOKS by joining our next webinar called Getting Started with FLEXBOOKS and the 2.0 platform. It's scheduled for Wednesday, September 4th at 3 p.m. PDT. All right, let's check out PLIX. PLIX stands for Play, Learn, Interact, Explore. It is a visual learning modality that allows users to animate ideas in a concept through simple interactions. We have over 1,140 interactives that span both math and science concepts and can be filtered by subject, keyword, concept, or standards. Also PLIX. Like everything offered by CK-12 is free to all users. All you have to do is sign into CK-12 to access them. After you've opened up a PLIX, the first thing you do is read the description on the left. The description explains what the interactive is about and provides directions on how to interact with it. Next, use the interactive by following the prompt in the instructions. In the interactive, you can explore the concept. If you need to start over, there's a refresh button at the bottom that you can use. After you've used the interactive, click the challenge button below the description. This opens up the challenge questions. The questions often build upon one another to help students reach a deeper understanding of a concept. The final question is a discussion question that you can use for a class conversation. This is a great place to think about differentiating learning by having students try the first few questions or work their way through to the higher level thinking and discussion questions. As a side note, don't worry about trying to write down all the teaching strategies that we mentioned. A full list was posted earlier in the chat window, and we'll also send it as a follow-up to this webinar. Along the toolbar at the top of the PLIX, you'll see that there are even more features. We will discuss more of these features as we go. And now let's dive into a PLIX. This PLIX is about lunar phases. The description of this PLIX includes a prompt on how to interact with it. Notice that it says to drag the red point. Moving the red point changes the phases of the moon in accordance with the labels on the slider. At the top right of this PLIX is an orange button to assign to class. You can assign PLIX to students in a CK-12 class group by clicking on that button. If you want to learn more about assignments, feel free to ask us in the Q&A window. Let's look at another PLIX for a second. Before we explore the PLIX itself, you can see in the top right the options to give feedback and adjust the size of the text by clicking the icons in the upper right corner of the screen. You'll notice that this PLIX about rules for dilation has the same description and prompt area, the simple interaction, and challenge questions. This PLIX uses two of the most frequently seen question types: multiple choice and select all that apply. If students are struggling with a question, they can often find hints to help answer the questions. Note that if you get an answer wrong, you'll see the option to show the correct answer. Once again, this is learning, not an assessment tool. So students will be able to get immediate feedback and guidance when they attempt a question. Students can also use the Learn More option to read about the matching concept and gain a better understanding of it. Encouraging students who are struggling to access these resources is another great way to personalize and support student learning. All right. So now that you've seen two PLIX, you may be wondering where you can get your hands on them. You can use the search bar to find the content and modalities, including PLIX. You can also access PLIX through the circular PLIX icon on the home page. You can even get to PLIX from within FLEXBOOKS 2.0. For example, let's look at the geometry book. You open the book from the Browse page, scroll through the table of contents, and open up a lesson. The Start button would open up the written lesson. Below that is listed other ways to learn. The first two modalities here are PLIX. I can tell because the little brain icon next to the title indicates that they're PLIX. Lessons with PLIX and simulations often list those interactives first. You can access our PLIX through the website on any computer or tablet with a screen size of 9 inches or larger. Alternatively, you can jump directly to the PLIX Browse page using www.ck12.org/PLIX. Let's see what that looks like. Once on the Browse page, you have a few options. Remember to sign in if you haven't, and then you can choose your branches. This will help filter your PLIX according to areas you're teaching. If you've done this and you want to update those branches, you could click on Change Branches. You can find PLIX in all branches of math and science. To achieve this depth of coverage, we've developed some really diverse PLIX. Some PLIX are exploratory based, while others check for student understanding. Some PLIX are abstract, and others are based in the real world. Let's dive into a few examples. You could share your idea for a PLIX with the Interactives team by clicking the link above the search bar. So far, we've looked at embedded interactives and full PLIX. I'm now going to show you how to embed interactives into your own lessons. I've got a draft of a lesson ready here to embed both a basic PLIX, which is only the interactive part, as well as a complete PLIX, which is a full PLIX that opens up into a PLIX screen. First, I'll quickly go through the process. Afterwards, we can review the specific buttons to press. So on the PLIX, click the 3 dots at the top and go to Embed. Copy the basic PLIX code by pressing the orange button. I'm going to use the Add Insert Media button and paste in my code. I could preview it and press Insert. Now for the full PLIX, I can use the code below and copy it over. I use the same Add Insert Media button. I can preview this too. A complete PLIX includes a launch button. Next, insert it and keep the lesson as a draft to save the whole thing. And let's see what it looks like when you've finished the lesson. Okay, here's my basic embedded interactive. Press try it and review the text. You can play around with it right here in the lesson. And here is the full PLIX. When you press the launch button, it takes you to the full PLIX screen. Once again, it's the same interactive, but it comes with 5 questions and more features. We went through that pretty quickly. Now let's do a recap. Those 3 buttons at the top of the PLIX are what you press to get the drop-down menu with the Embed button. Press the Embed button to get the PLIX codes. On the draft of your lesson, press the Insert Edit Media button to add the code and embed interactives into your lesson. Okay, now let's look at the variety of PLIX available to you. These exploration-based PLIX are sandboxes in which a student can play around and experiment with an idea. In the distance between 2 points, taxicab distance PLIX, students explore 2 different ways to find distance between 2 locations. In the Ohm's Law PLIX, students explore how Ohm's Law affects the current in a circuit. A great teaching strategy would be to have students explore PLIX and then share their different experiences and what they learned with each other. In some PLIX like these, students can get feedback to checking their understanding of a concept. The structure of water PLIX allows students to rotate water molecules to form hydrogen bonds. In the law of cosines PLIX, students find the missing side lengths of triangles using the law of cosines. These PLIX could be used as a review of a concept, so students can see how well they understand a concept before an assessment. In many PLIX, students can manipulate graphs, diagrams, or variables. In this sine and cosine PLIX, students can explore how the values of trig functions relate to a given angle. In the refraction band gap PLIX, users change the band gap of a substance to see if a photon can fit through. As a lesson, you could have students screenshot a few different states for a graph or a set of variables and explain what changed and how the change affected the graph or situation. Some PLIX use real-world context to teach math and science concepts. In the Rainforest Map Quest PLIX, students can locate villages on a map using a scale. In the Rate of Dissolving Sugar PLIX, Students observe what happens to a sugar cube in tea as the temperature changes. For these real-world PLIX, try having students brainstorm other applications of a particular concept, or even design their own PLIX to address a concept. As you've seen throughout these PLIX, there are a number of different ways to have students work with and use PLIX. In class, as warm-up, as enrichment, as a remedial activity, or to explore a concept. At home, as a homework assignment, or students can post answers to PLIX questions on CK-12. To differentiate instruction, using challenge questions, learn more, and explorations. To foster conversation, the last question of each PLIX is a discussion question, and some lead to PLIX Corner. So I've mentioned PLIX Corner a couple of times now, so let's talk about what it is and how to find it. The CK-12 Cafe is a place where you can ask and answer questions and share with other users. Just click the link to Cafe in the Explore drop-down menu to get there. We're going to enter PLIX Corner, where users answer intriguing PLIX discussion questions. Here's a great example of a recent discussion in the PLIX Corner. The PLIX science question of the week was from the temperature and temperature scales PLIX. You can assign the PLIX featured in a PLIX Corner post and have your students join this conversation and discuss their ideas with classmates and students across the world. One of the standards of mathematical practice is construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. The PLIX Corner is a great place for students to discuss their reasoning about a topic. Each week, CK-12 features one math PLIX and one science PLIX to ask questions of the week. We've been noticing more and more classes leaving answers to PLIX questions en masse, sometimes with notes of encouragement from their teacher. If you'd like to see a specific PLIX featured that you want your students to respond to in PLIX Corner, let us know. On the next slide, I'll tell you how to get in touch with us. All right, so I would like to challenge you to get involved. Try out PLIX and the interactive FLEXBOOKS 2.0. Share interactives that you love with your students and other teachers, and tell us at CK-12 what you think by reaching out to us at Facebook, Twitter, or share your idea for a PLIX. Give it a shot. And have fun exploring our new interactives. Okay, so I've told you a lot about PLIX. Now is your turn to find a PLIX that you could use in your classroom. Press Escape to escape from the Zoom window and open up your internet browser and go to ck12.org. For those of you staying on the Zoom window, you can watch me find PLIX on the CK-12 site. All right, so here we are at the CK-12 homepage, and it's time for your first challenge. Navigate from the CK-12 homepage to the PLIX browse page. So there's a few different ways you can do this. You can scroll down and use the PLIX icon here, or you could go to the handy Explore menu and you can find the PLIX icon here, and either one will take you straight into the browse page. If it's your first time on the PLIX browse page, or if you're not signed into CK-12, you will be prompted with a tutorial on how to use PLIX. Okay, now let's go back to the CK-12 homepage. And we'll try to find the interactive FLEXBOOKS 2.0. Okay, so here we are. We've returned to the CK-12 homepage, ck12.org, and you can click on Explore again. Right there on the top left, we've got FLEXBOOKS 2.0. And you could either click on Get Started or just scroll right on down Either way, we'll do the same thing. And here we have some math, interactive books, and then the physics book down here also has lots of interactives in it too. So we just released the 7th grade book. I'm going to open that up. Go to the table of contents, pick out a lesson, hit start, and it takes you right into the lesson. All right. And with that, it might be a good time to stop and see what questions we have coming in about PLIX and the interactive FLEXBOOKS before we move on to the second half of this webinar, where Sonia discusses simulations. Please join us back in your Zoom window to participate in the chat and Q&A.
Great, thank you, Katie, for getting us started here. Just a reminder to all of our participants that we do have the Q&A window active. Katie H is behind the scenes. Katie S is the one who just demoed PLIX for you, but Katie H and Star are typing some answers to questions. But Katie S, for you, we do have a couple of PLIX questions. One is asking, are PLIX and interactives only for middle and high schoolers?
No, I wouldn't say so. They're definitely mostly geared for middle school and high school, but we certainly have a range of PLIX for elementary school, going into place value and base 10 and things like that. We also have, I'm going to go into the browse page here. We have branches dedicated entirely to arithmetic and measurement, which is great for elementary school concepts. And then even if you're interested in, I know calculus is a high school subject, but it's covered in some college courses as well. We have a number of calculus PLIX.
Okay, and yeah, and Katie showed a lot of different ways to search. So you might just try. She showed you how to move over through the different branches up at the top, but then there's also that search button. If you knew you were looking for a specific concept, you could type it in and try and see what we have. But she's right, we see these PLIX being used at a mix of levels depending on the types of students you have. Katie, another question for you. It says, can you show the corrected answer as it happens or only after the set is complete? So I think we're asking about just in general, when you get to the challenge questions on a PLIX, how the answers are served up.
Sure, so we can check it out. So I'm just opening up this PLIX here, press challenge me. And so here we have 4 and 3, how many together? Well, obviously the answer would be 7. I'm going to say 11. And here we have a little bit of feedback, and then you could click on show correct answer and it'll tell you exactly which one was the actual correct answer.
So it shows you a question at a time as you progress through the challenge questions. And I think, like Katie mentioned, we really designed these as a practice tool. It's not meant to be an assessment. So we want students to experiment and explore and learn from both their correct and incorrect answers. That's clearing out the Q&A window for now. You guys think about any questions you have for Katie, because we're going to transition to Sonia, who's going to be talking about our simulations. But after Sonia's presentation, either Katie or Sonia would be happy to ask anything that you guys still would like to know. So why don't, I'm going to steal the screen back from Katie here. And then I would like to introduce you to my colleague, Sonia. So I think we're about in business here. Sonia, I'll let you take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lindsay. It was really nice to see everyone introduce themselves in the chat window. And we have people from all over the world, the Ukraine, Romania, Finland, Argentina, Nova Scotia, South Africa, and all across the United States, from Connecticut to Modesto, California. So really great group, and thank you for your time. I'm really excited to show you all our CK-12 interactive simulations, which we lovingly refer to as Sims. We offer a large collection of over 120 physics and chemistry simulations that are all tablet and laptop friendly. They truly are a groundbreaking new type of digital learning tool, unlike anything else out there really, in that they overlay the scientific and mathematical principles onto a real-world setting. These sims support inquiry-based learning and promote students to connect the often abstract STEM concepts with their everyday applications. They are aligned to the NGSS standards and are applicable to both middle and high school levels. They differ from the PLIX interactives that Katie just showed you in that they're almost more of a portal, pulling students into a real-world setting, allowing them multiple ways to interact, and they connect many concepts together. But like the PLIX and all other resources on CK-12, they are all free. So simply sign in to CK-12 and launch a sim with just one easy click. So in this webinar, I'll show you how to navigate the Sims browse page, just like Katie did with the PLIX browse page. And then I'll help familiarize you with the general structure of the Sims. I will also highlight the many embedded sim features and resources. I'll then share some ideas I have for using the Sims as an instructional tool in class or at home to differentiate instruction and to dispel some of those deep-rooted common science misconceptions. I'm also excited to tell you about the Sims and that we now offer in different languages and the recently added embed codes. And I'll end by going live to show you some of the Sims found in our science FLEXBOOKS on the new FLEXBOOK 2.0 platform. So my main goal, like Katie's, is that by the end of this webinar, you feel really excited and equipped to use the CK-12 simulations with your students. And my suggestion to you at this time is, as I'm going through this all, just pick one sim and experiment with it. Think about using it in your class during these first few weeks of school. So I'd like to share this with you. I used to be a classroom teacher, and this is an actual picture that I took of a whiteboard in my physics class a few years ago. I spent, sadly, my entire lunch period drawing this image for my students, trying to relate the law of reflection with what they see in a mirror. And at that time, the only tools I had were a whiteboard and markers. Thankfully, CK-12 has provided a much more compelling learning tool, and now we teachers have time to eat our lunch, so that's good news. So here we go. This is the prom night sim, a result of the beautiful collaboration between science teachers, animators, and software developers at CK-12. So the prom night sim begins with an intriguing question, and then it advances through a video explaining the basic concepts and posing further questions to get students to think about the underlying physics behind a real-world scenario. In this case, this young man is getting ready for the prom and looking in the mirror at himself. So the next scene that we'll scroll through is what we at CK-12 lovingly refer to as the sandbox. So here we are in the sandbox because it's meant for users to play around and discover new things. So in this interactive environment, you'll almost always find sliders for certain physical variables and graphs or responsive animations to illustrate the relationship between these variables. Next, there are 3 questions that can be answered by adjusting those sliders, so we call them slider-based questions. And then each simulation ends with a set of real-world examples that invites the student to think about applications of the underlying concepts in different physical situations to promote continued learning. So hopefully after previewing this one sim, you're really excited to see more. We're going to show you a lot more. So there are many ways to access the Sims from within the CK-12 website. You can simply click on the Explore option in the main toolbar on our homepage. Then you'll click Simulations. Or you can scroll down the home page and click on the simulations icon on the bottom left corner there. So each of these options will take you to our simulations browse page. So the web address you can see on the bottom left-hand corner there, www.ck12.org/sims, also provides a simple shortcut for you, your students, or colleagues to get to this Sims browse page. In our collection of over 120 Sims, we have bobsleds, music recitals, swim competitions, archery, airplanes, and more. So as you can see here, they're all real-world settings that are hard to replicate in the classroom. Our collection of Sims are currently divided into two branches, physics and chemistry. So as you can see here, it's highlighted. We are now looking at the physics tab. And the first row features 3 of my favorite Sims for topics commonly taught in a physics classroom around the beginning of the school year. So on the far left, we have the driverless car Sim, which poses the opening question: how does a self-driving car know where to go? And prompts students to practice vector addition in a fun way. The At the Crossroads Sim in the middle can be used to teach conversions of systems of measurement. And on the far right is Erwin and Ruthie. And this is one of my personal favorites because it allows students to adjust the velocity of 2 racing robots to learn all about motion and graphing motion. So like I said before, these are all scenarios that are really hard to replicate inside the classroom. Now I do want to mention that although these Sims are formally labeled physics, their topical coverage is broad, and we have Sims that relate to concepts regarding physical science, earth science, astronomy, and math. So even if you are not a physics teacher, I really encourage you to visit the CK-12 Sims browse page, and I am confident that you can find something for your course and level. Okay, and just to be sure to convince you, right, I would like to highlight some other Sims that could even be used to teach important math concepts. So here on the top left, we have the Portrait Gallery Sim, and it's another Sim that can be used to teach vector addition and important concepts related to trigonometry. Both the Water Fountain and Archery Sims have to do with projectile motion and involve parametric equations. And then on the bottom right, the Stadium Wave Sim can be used for a more complicated sinusoid problem. So like I said earlier, although these Sims are just labeled physics or chemistry, there are many that can be used to highlight the real-world applications connected to a variety of STEM concepts. So going back to that Sims browse page, I'm going to click on that second tab highlighted that will give you access to 15 chemistry Sims. Now these are still in the beta stage of development. You can see the little orange flag there. So what you'll see is the beginning of the full structure that you see in the physics Sims. So these chemistry simulations all provide the microscopic explanations for macroscopic observations of the world around us. The first 3 you're looking at here are the Going Fishing Sim on the far left, which students can use to explore what makes an object float or sink. Then in the middle, the Airbag Sim allows students to investigate the chemical reactions that cause an airbag to inflate. And then on the far right, the Hot Pack Cold Pack Sim provides a great everyday model for students to associate with exothermic and endothermic reactions. So I hope you'll explore and experiment with using these new Sims in your classroom. And like I said, pick one and experiment with it, and then also provide us with your feedback. So there is a link within each Sim, and let me know what you think and how it goes. Okay, so once on the browse page, there are many ways to find a sim for your particular class. So you can either just scroll down, you can type a keyword into the search bar, it's highlighted on the left there, or you can search through the filters, which is also highlighted on the left. So you can filter the sims by concept or next generation science standards. These concepts and standards are also listed under each simulation. You can see them there in blue. In addition, there is a worksheet link under each sim. When you click on the worksheet arrow icon, a worksheet version of the sim will pop up that you can easily download as a PDF. So there's also a way to access the worksheet from within the sim that I'll show you later when I demonstrate. So if you click that arrow icon, and be sure to click right on that arrow, the worksheet will pop up just like this. So here's the Irwin and Ruthie worksheet. There are a variety of ways in which these worksheets can be used, but I think it's really most important to note that all of the embedded features and content in the sims are accessible in worksheet format here. So if internet is an issue at your school, or you'd like a handout that will help guide students in using the sims, or simply if your students just respond better to turning something in, I know my students did. These worksheet resources are currently available for all physics sims, and the Chem Sim worksheets will be coming down the road. So here are some images of the 4 main windows in our ramp and piano sim, which is about force, distance, and work, and how this relationship can be manipulated with a ramp. I used to begin my physics curriculum each year with investigating simple machines, and I think this is just two important concepts related to the beginning of a physics curriculum. One of the most unique things about our simulations is their consistent structure, starting with that introductory video, moving on to the interactive sandbox, then posing some slider-based questions, and ending with other related real-world examples. So I think that you will find after using just 1 or 2 of the CK-12 simulations, your students will no longer have to focus their attention on how to use the digital tool, and will be able to focus on learning the concepts instead, which is much more important in my personal view. So here's a snapshot of the introductory video of the hot oven sim, which enables students to explore the difference between heat, temperature, and thermal energy. Like all sim intro videos, the font size can be changed. You can play or pause the video at any time in the middle with that play button. And for repeat users of this sim, the video can also be skipped. You can see the skip in the bottom left-hand corner. Now, I might project this question on the screen in my classroom using an overhead projector and prompt students to complete a quick write as a warm-up activity. So you could imagine the bell rings, you'll ask students to put their pen to paper for 3 minutes and write whatever comes to mind in response to this question. What is the difference between temperature and heat? And then I would press play after the 3 minutes is up and walk students through the introductory video in a discussion format. So this next slide shows the interactive sandbox environment of the cliff diver sim that allows students to explore the acceleration due to gravity. In every interactive sandbox, you'll almost always see 1 or 2 graphs at the top representing the situation, as well as sliders that allow you to manipulate the basic parameters, as well as a play button. So each slider has an information tag that can be activated to learn more. And the graphs also have many features activated by the gear symbols. You can see the gear symbol circled there. Users can get info about the graph, zoom in to see the graph, you can hide the graphs, or even compare 2 trials by clicking Enable Last Run. So you can see there, info, zoom, hide graph, enable last run. I think it would be a great exercise to project the sandbox onto a screen in class. I would hide the graphs and prompt students to sketch their predictions regarding what the graphs might look like on whiteboards. And then I would adjust the sliders, press play, and drop the graphs down to reveal the results. And I think it would break out into a great class discussion. I hope you try that one out. So the information bar at the top of every sandbox can be used to differentiate instruction for your students. For students who are struggling or need more help, there's a tab labeled tutorial, you could see there, which opens to a 3-minute YouTube video screencast that carefully details how the simulation works, made by yours truly. In addition, there's always a link available to concepts that highlight the relevant material that we offer in the CK-12 website. And then for students who are up for a challenge, there are Challenge Me questions that provide a few related, deep thinking, open-ended questions. So really what I want to share with you today is that in this one interactive environment, students who are struggling are supported. Students who are ready to move on are challenged. And all students are prompted to be curious and have fun. So this is a snapshot of the slider-based questions in the Sprinter Sim. And it allows students to explore friction by investigating why sprinters wear spiked shoes for running. You receive immediate feedback on your submission, similar to what Katie demoed in the PLIX. And there's a way to create new slider-based questions so that you as the instructor can tailor the sim to your specific course or level. So with the slider-based questions, I could envision prompting students to answer them in pairs during class. I could also see the completion of slider-based questions as a great homework assignment. They are included in the sim worksheet, and there's sufficient space below each question in the worksheet to provide room for students to record their answers and reasoning. Okay, so this is a snapshot of the real world examples at the end of the Gone Fishing chemistry simulation I mentioned earlier about density and floating. I think it would be fun to prompt students to do further research on one of these examples for homework, share their findings with their classmate the next class period. So I would say something like, pick one that interests you, do some research on it, and come with some fun facts to share with your classmates the next period. You can also customize the simulations by adding more real-world examples. So another idea would be to prompt students to create their own example and upload it here, adding to our bank of community-contributed content. I actually introduced this idea over during a previous webinar, and I really am excited to announce that a few teachers actually listened to me, which is exciting. If you click on community contributed content of this particular sim, the Gone Fishing sim, you can see community contributed content. You will see that there are over 25 examples that seem to be student generated. So I just think students get a thrill out of seeing their work displayed like this. So I hope you'll try that out in the upcoming weeks. So speaking of real-world applications, I believe our simulations serve as great resources for any NGSS curriculum. And here are some examples of sims with just really great big questions. So the Journey to Mars sim says, why do trips to Mars happen only during certain launch windows? The Diamond Cut sim poses the question, why do diamonds sparkle? The Touchscreen sim states, how does a capacitive touchscreen work? And the Wind Turbine sim says, how efficient is a wind turbine? So I feel the challenge of NGSS is how to present the right phenomena to elicit the right questions from students to meet those standards. And this is all done with the goal of sparking curiosity and allowing students to discover on their own. And I really believe these sims can help you meet this challenge and easily serve as phenomenon in your NGSS course. And in addition to connecting science to the real world, our sims can also be used to make the invisible visible, which is, just the goal of a science classroom, and dispel some of those deep-rooted misconceptions. So this chart here highlights some of those common science misconceptions, and I've linked a related sim that I hope you can use to dispel it. And this is actually available in our CEP program too. So this handout is available to you. There are some great examples of misconceptions here. The idea that particles of solid have no motion. There's a building bridges sim that students can actually visualize the jiggling molecules of the Golden Gate Bridge. And then the idea that mass and weight are the same thing. You can dispel this notion by using the astronaut training chamber sim. And what that sim allows you to do is you can go to different places like Mars, the moon, even Dione, Saturn's moon, and see how the mass stays the same, but the weight changes on those different locations. And I'll actually show you this sim when we take a look at and do some demonstrations. So we've included a PDF list for your future reference in the CEP FLEXBOOK, and I'll show you that as well when I hop online. Okay, we have had physics teachers around the world volunteer to help us translate our sims to Korean, German, Chinese, and most recently Polish. And these translated sims are now live on our site. You could see the language drop-down arrow on the top right corner. There are on the Sims Browse page. So really, because we have such a unique audience here today, there is a Help Us Translate link. And if you're able to provide us with your contact information, if you're willing to help us translate these sims into additional languages, we really would be so grateful for any help you can offer. They really are, translating these sims are central in helping us achieve our mission of providing free, high-quality physics resources to every student around the world. So I hope you will consider. And then also very similarly to what Katie showed you in the PLIX, we now have the ability to embed each sim, and we have embed codes available for you to use. So simply click on the 3 dots on that top right-hand corner of every sim, and you'll see the embed option. And that will open up to a window with the code that you can easily copy and paste. And as Katie mentioned, CK-12 recently released the interactive FLEXBOOKS 2.0, which are filled with these interactives. And we can actually take a look at those now. So we currently offer 6 science FLEXBOOKS on our new 2.0 platform. Now, when looking at the titles, you can see that physics is the only one formally labeled interactive physics for high school, because almost every lesson has an embedded sim or PLIX interactive within the reading, as well as attached as related modalities. And our team is currently working hard on continuing to embed the sims and PLIX in the other science FLEXBOOKS, such as chemistry and physical science, as well as developing new interactives for these resources with the goal of making them exploratory digital textbooks. So why don't I hop on our website at this time and show you some of these books. And as I'm demoing, Lindsay, if you want to pause and interrupt me at any time.
I'll let you go ahead and steal the screen, but we are approaching the hour mark, so I do want to answer a few of these questions for folks, and then any that don't get answered, we will stay on for those of you who would still like to know the answer to some of these. But Sony, you were just talking about the embed codes, and one of our users was asking, if a teacher's using embed codes for PLIX and for Sims, do they get to see how the students are progressing? Or the question is, or do you use them as an activity that does not have a student report to view on the progress?
Okay, great question. So if you're embedding them, it doesn't really link to any sort of report. So you don't get feedback about student progress. If you use the CK-12, our system, and you assign a simulation, and I can kind of show you, I'll open up this first one here. if you use our kind of classroom, a class, and you assign it to your class, you will receive a report, and it basically just shows you that they opened the simulation or PLIX and advanced through so many screens, but you don't get a detailed report on what questions they answered correctly, incorrectly, or how they manipulated the sliders, so on and so forth. So I would say in general, it's mostly just an activity without a report attached.
Okay, and then I think you showed earlier the student generated, this says student generated questions, but I think it was also the real world examples. Are they vetted for accuracy and appropriate, or how do things end up being shared in that community contributed side of the simulations?
Oh, great question. So I personally vet everything, and I look through it. I actually wake up Monday morning, get a coffee. I go through all your feedback. So as I stated, let me know how it goes. Here's the feedback link here. I start by reading all the feedback for the week, and then I go through and I actually go through all the community contributed. This one doesn't have any. I can find another simulation that does. And I go through all the real world applications that have been submitted, as well as the slider based questions that have been submitted, and I do vet them. So someone, myself, looks through them. So here's 3. So I've gone through these and found that they're appropriate, as well as for community contributed here. So they are vetted.
Okay, so just for time's sake, I'm going to steal the screen back. One of our users was asking about the sim structure. So Sonia, you can talk over this too, but I'm going back to a slide that you showed earlier that talks about how they all follow a similar structure.
Yes, so this is perfect. So you'll see in our entire collection, what I really like is there's, just as far as other simulations out there available, they often have different ways of interacting, and it really takes a lot of class time to just teach the students how to use the tool and where to click. And as a teacher myself, I would be writing these large instructional worksheets on first click here, open this, then click there, then find this. And I think what you'll find in our motivation behind making our entire collection of 120 sims follow this general structure is that you really, after using 1 or 2, students will be used to where to click, where to access things, and no matter the setting, whether it be, like I said, on Mars, or at, looking at wind turbines, or looking at a diamond, where they find the different features of the sims will always be in the same location.
Perfect. Okay. So since we are close to this hour mark, I am going to skip down here to some of our closing slides. So those of you who need to leave can do so, but I want to give you some important information right now. And then you all can be typing any last questions you have into Q&A for Katie and for Sonia. But I wanted to show you this link, ck12.org/overview. Throughout this presentation, you've seen PLIX and Sims, but they're just a few of our robust resources. So if you want to see an overview of all of our resources, this is a good link to check out. You'll see additional information, as well as overviews for our FLEXBOOKS, our adaptive practice, our learning management systems, our cafe. So check that out. I also wanted to promote webinars. We have 4 webinars upcoming that we have posted on our site. This one was at 1:00 p.m. Pacific time. You'll notice that we're doing some at 3, we're doing one at 5. Our international users, I know it's a struggle to join us live, and we're doing our best within the California kind of working hours to accommodate as many people as possible. But you can see here that we've got a getting started with FLEXBOOKS and the 2.0 platform, getting started with adaptive practice and assignments, teaching strategies, advanced FLEXBOOK editing. So I know several of you were asking questions throughout this webinar about setting up classes and making assignments, or things you can do within the FLEXBOOK environment. I really encourage you to attend some of these upcoming webinars and checking out our resources. You can do that at ck12.org/webinars. We will also be posting this particular webinar onto that page within 24 hours or so. Just a reminder that we do have this tinyurl.com resource page. It's a front and back that you can save or you can print if you would like. tinyurl.com, CK-12 PLIX Sims 2019. And I believe these have all been posted in the chat window for you. Also, this webinar is one of our core sessions for the CK-12 Certified Educator Program. So if you joined our July 2019 class, that you already started this summer and you are in progress, then you already have access to the July 2019 class book and assignments. So all of you keep on keeping on if you are in that summer class and work there. If you are brand new to the Certified Educator Program, welcome. We would love to give you credit for attending this webinar. Please go to ck12.org/certified and click on that request info button, and we will email you details for joining the class by the end of this week, and we'll give you all the resources you need to get started. If you have any questions for us about anything certified educator related, jumpstart@ck12.org is the best place to ask those questions. We do always love to get your feedback on what we did well, what we could do better for the next webinars. So this is another tiny URL that's going to be put in the chat window, but tinyurl.com/CK12feedback1920 for our school year of 1920. It's just a few short questions. So if you have 2 or 3 minutes right now and don't mind, we would love to read your comments. And so thank you again for joining us today. I know it takes time out of your day, and we really appreciate your dedication to teaching and learning and doing awesome things with your students. I do want to assure you that you are supported by our team. You can email support@ck12.org. And don't forget to let your socials know about CK12 and your participation in our Certified Educator Program. You can find us at the handle CK12 Foundation. You can also use the hashtag CK12 Certified. So that's it for our core programming. So for any of you who need to go, you can absolutely sign off now if you would like, but we will stay on for another few minutes and chip away at any questions you have. Katie and Sonia can both share their screens and demo anything you would like to see. So the first question, it looks like, is for me, actually. It's, are the webinars archived? And it is yes. If you go to ck12.org/webinars, you will see the most recent webinar for all of the webinars that we run. Most of them are what we did this summer. And then this one will be posted under the CK-12 Simulations and PLIX Interactive section, like I said, within 24 hours. And I'm going to wait just a little bit longer because I bet a few of you are sitting on some questions that you want us. Again, we're happy to demo anything you guys need right now.
And Lindsay, I see a few questions that happen to be in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Go for it.
So the first one is, are all the simulations free? And the answer is yes. So I love to answer that question. So everything that we showed you here today is free. And then the other question I see on the chat is, can you only embed in a FLEXBOOK or can you embed in any digital document? And really, you can use that embed code anywhere that embed codes can be used. So anywhere you can imagine embedding a YouTube video or another object, those embed codes will work for you. So it's not limited to just a FLEXBOOK. And then I also just wanted to share with you that at about 1:50, that Dispelling Misconceptions link was posted on the chat too. So if you scroll up there, and then they also shared in the chat right above it at about 1:15, they shared a teaching strategies document. And those PDFs kind of summarize all of our suggestions that we shared with you on how to use the interactives. So those two links might be useful, and they're posted in the chat window, time-stamped at about 1:15 and 1:50. Oh, and then they just posted it again. So there you go.
So there's that doc in the chat window for you. A couple of questions coming into Q&A. Is there a list with the supported LMSs? There is. I will put the short link to that in the chat window as well. I believe it's ck12.org/integrations. And if I'm wrong, KDH is going to tell me here in a second. We'll see it appear in the chat window. But on our site, if you go down to the bottom of our footer, we talk about different tools and apps, our integrations, CK12, there we go, ck12.org/integrations. But in general, we work really well with Google Classroom, and you can assign things to Google Classroom directly from our site. Or if you are a Canvas or a Schoology user, then you install us kind of as a third-party application within those windows, and you will make all CK12 assignments through those individual applications. You can learn more about that at ck12.org/integrations. This one might have to go to Star, help embedding a full Desmos frame in a lesson, suggestions. In general, my general answer, the non-technical answer, is anything that you can pull an embed code for. We have a box within our editor when you're in a FLEXBOOK that is for you to embed multimedia. And so you can copy an embed code and paste it in there. And if you've already tried that and that's not working for you, I might suggest that you email support@ck12.org, and we can troubleshoot that for you, because I don't know a technical answer for why that would or would work for you.
Hi, I could jump on that one. Katie is here.
Perfect. Katie has to answer it.
Oh yeah, I do a lot of embedding. Okay, so when it comes to things like Desmos or other applications where you can use an embed code, just like Lindsay said, you can use that insert edit media button that we were showing you, plop it in there. Just a recommendation though, we do have some limitations when it comes to the width of what actually looks good. So like if you're looking at something on mobile, on your cell phone, you wouldn't want the width to be wider than 500 pixels. But you can put in whatever you want, but definitely experiment a little bit with the size of what you're working with to make sure that it looks good on the page or for any possible mobile usage.
It's a team effort here at CK12. If one of us doesn't know the specifics, another one sure does. Okay, Katie or Sonia, you guys can fight over this one. If one of you wants to share the screen right now, the question is could you please demonstrate how to insert media again?
I can take that because I didn't get a chance to show a science interactive FLEXBOOK. So that might be a good, I'll do two birds. One stop. Okay, so I mentioned that I would show, let's see here, an interactive lesson with the Sims and PLIX embedded. So why don't I pull that up? So I'm here on the home page. I'm going to take you to a physical science lesson in our Physical Science 2.0 books, and it's for middle school. So I'm going to scroll down to chapter 13, and it has to do with work in machines. And I'll take a look at the lever lesson. So here we have what the 2.0 book looks like, all the interactives and videos and real world applications. And then everything is nicely packaged in this one reading. So I'm just going to scroll down and show you what it looks like. Here's an embedded video, nice chart. And then here's our embedded simulation, as well as our embedded PLIX. Okay, so let me show how you would do that. So I'm going to go back up, and I'm going to, let's see, I guess I would go with this one. I'm going to just go to customize from the main book page. So here again, I'm on the main page, and I'm going to hit customize here, and that's just going to open up the ability to edit that particular reading. And I'll find my lever reading here, click on that pencil icon, and now I'm in, gonna open up the lesson and have the ability to change the title, edit the text, so on and so forth. So what we are talking about here is, this was a video, but I'll go down to, this was a simulation. So this is that multimedia. So here's kind of that editing toolbar that you might be familiar with on, let's say, a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word doc. So, you know, nothing too crazy, but basically it's this little play movie icon, and it says insert or edit media. So if I open that up, what you're going to see is the code that I embedded. So that's that. But let me show you, let's say you didn't want this sim, you liked a different sim. So let me just kind of walk you through. So that sim was, if I put simple machines, let's find, so I'm using the sim browse page. I'm going to find this one. This one has to do with pulleys. So let's say you'd rather talk about pulleys than you would a seesaw. So here I am on our block and tackle sim, and there's those 3 dots. That's really your key. So in a PLIX or sim, you click on the 3 dots, and then you click on embed. Click on the code, and you're going to copy it. I'm going to go back into the lesson, and then I'm going to hit that insert media icon, and I'm going to preview. Now I can kind of see the corner of it there, and I'm going to insert it, and I'm going to get rid of this seesaw one. So if I finalize this draft, what you'll see right away is that I now have my same read with the same videos and awesome content, but I now have customized it to show the sim and embed the sim of my choice. So let me know, I went through that kind of quickly if you'd like me to go a little slower, but basically 3 dots, embed code, and it's that insert media icon in the editor.
Thank you for showing that.
Mm-hmm.
While you've been demonstrating that, I think our team has answered all of the other questions in Q&A. Oh, here we go. Could you put 2 sims or just replace?
Oh, you can pick as many as you like, so have fun. So basically you can see down here, I have another PLIX. I'll go back and follow those same steps, and we'll get a PLIX. How about? So let me go to CK-12.org, and let me scroll down here to our PLIX. And I'll pick, let's say, lever, if there's just one. Pulley, how about? Let's do a pulley one. Okay, so here's a pulley again. I'm on the PLIX browse page. I use the search bar all the time, just my way of browsing, but here's a pulley sim for physical science, or pulleys PLIX, excuse me, pulleys PLIX for physical science. So here we go, those 3 dots, and then embed. I like embedding the PLIX with the questions, but it's really your preference if you just like the interactive part. So this one even makes it easy. You can do a copy to clipboard, so it makes your life a little easier. I'll go back to that book, follow my same pattern. So choose, I'm going to edit, and then I'll find my lesson. It was chapter 13. And it was levers. So I'm gonna hit the pencil icon to open up the editor. And then you kind of go down. The only tricky part is you just see this image when with an embeddable object. So you just kind of have to remember where that object is. So this is my PLIX here. And then you could put some text in like, have fun playing with this pulley. Okay, we'll get really professional here. And then I'm gonna click on that insert edit media. That's the big one, that icon right there. And I'm going to paste that in, and I can preview. Yep, there's my pulley PLIX. I'm gonna insert, and you could imagine doing that as many times as you wanted. And then let's just take a look at what that looks like if I press finalize. And you will see that it appears right away, right below the other PLIX interactive. So no limits to how many you embed.
And if you're intrigued by all of this FLEXBOOK work Sony has been doing, the next webinar that we have is the Getting Started with FLEXBOOKS and the 2.0 platform. So we can show you how to do this customization and you use the editor tool that she was using. So you can sign up for that at ck12.org/webinars. And I think we are going to call it a session. Well, it's a couple of you just snuck in some things. We love the positive feedback. You guys are fantastic. That's awesome. You know, little funds, and we're able to help you with that. We're very pleased to do that. The next question, is it possible to have more than one version of the same lesson to differentiate instruction? And yes, we have a lot of people who you can have a completely different book if you would like. You could have a book for, you know, the blue group in your class and the purple group in your class and differentiate, or you can, if you're assigning lessons, you can always customize a lesson and have 2 different versions of it and assign those lessons separately. But that's kind of a common practice, maybe to have a standard version of a book and then to customize a version that is specific to a different group of students as well. All right, I think we are officially going to call it a session. So thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time.